The speech that she gave, everybody was just wowed by her. I watched my friend get shot in the neck.
The drama surrounding Candace Owens and the mysterious fallout after Charlie Kirk's passing has become one of the most polarizing and unsettling sagas in modern conservative circles. It began like a tragedy that united people in grief, but quickly spiraled into a storm of suspicion, betrayal, and conspiracy. At first, the nation watched Erica Kirk, the widow, deliver a heart-wrenching speech. Her voice trembled as she spoke of watching her friend get shot, her words echoing across the crowd as she described a public execution that the world had witnessed once again. It felt raw, real, and emotional, but then something shifted. What began as mourning soon became a mystery that blurred the lines between faith, loyalty, and truth. Candace Owens, once one of Charlie Kirk's closest allies, suddenly stepped forward with a statement that stunned the political world. She wasn't just grieving, she was questioning. Owens suggested that something about this entire story didn't add up, that perhaps the image of a grieving widow was incomplete. She hinted at betrayal not from the outside world, but from within the circle of those closest to Charlie. And with that, the floodgates of speculation opened wide. Social media caught fire overnight. Theories poured in, each one darker than the last. No longer were people talking about shadows on the rooftop. They were whispering about shadows inside the home, hidden motives, and a chain of events that could shatter the perfect image the public thought it knew. Owens's accusations ignited an inferno of controversy. She questioned the official reports, insinuated that federal agencies like the FBI were deliberately concealing evidence, and claimed that this was far more than a tragic accident. It was a cover-up. Her post declaring herself a citizen investigator turned the internet upside down. She promised to expose the truth, insisting she had evidence powerful enough to hold people accountable. Within hours, hashtags like Charles Justice for Charlie and Charles Federal Cover-Up were trending nationwide. To her supporters, she was a fearless truth-teller. To her critics, she was exploiting grief for attention. But the world couldn't look away. Owens had transformed one man's death into a nationwide obsession. Then came the theory that changed everything. A private jet leaving Provo shortly after Charlie's passing. A flight that allegedly turned off its radar transponder mid-air. Aviation experts called such a move highly irregular. Candace shared the details with her millions of followers, asking pointedly, if it was just a coincidence, then why the timing? That one question reignited a frenzy of speculation. People claimed it was the missing piece of the puzzle, proof of a grand conspiracy. Others dismissed it as a baseless internet myth. Still, Owens doubled down, sharing supposed insider messages from aviation experts and warning that planes never just disappear from radar. Every time she spoke, the story grew more twisted, more dramatic, and more divisive. But just when everyone thought the chaos had peaked, the focus shifted to someone no one expected, Erica Kirk herself. Once the face of heartbreak, she was now at the center of swirling suspicion. Online forums began circulating claims that Erica's calm demeanor and sudden silence after the tragedy weren't signs of grief, but signs of guilt. Her absence from social media, her carefully composed speeches, even her body language were dissected frame by internet detectives. Rumors of financial troubles and private arguments between her and Charlie began to surface. And as the narrative evolved, Candace's cryptic posts only fueled the fire. "This isn't a simple tragedy," she declared. "This is a conspiracy protected at the highest levels." Those words sent shockwaves through conservative America. Owens, who once stood shoulder to shoulder with Kirk at Turning Point USA events, was now publicly accusing his circle of betrayal. Even at his funeral, the fracture was visible. The event, meant to honor Charlie's memory, felt more like a cold political divide. Former allies didn't sit together. Conversations were quiet but tense. Candace herself was nowhere to be seen. Not because she didn't care, but because, as she later revealed, she wasn't invited. Instead, she watched from home, posting cryptic reflections that seemed both peaceful and piercing. When she later joked about her absence, saying, "When I'm criticizing the federal government, it's probably smart to avoid their events," it was laced with sarcasm, a quiet but sharp rebuke of those who had excluded her. Her absence raised even more questions. Was she being silenced? Or had she crossed a line too far for even her old allies to defend? Candace's supporters accused Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA of betrayal. Her critics claimed she was turning someone else's tragedy into her own spectacle. Meanwhile, sources close to the family described a household now fractured by mistrust. Charlie's parents reportedly began doubting Erica's version of events, their once tight-knit family now divided by whispers, media coverage, and unanswered questions. One insider put it simply, no one trusts anyone anymore. And as the Kirk family imploded under the weight of rumor and grief, Candace continued her crusade. She insisted she was simply fighting for the truth, even as respected voices, including Pastor Rob McCoy, Charlie's spiritual mentor, publicly rebuked her. McCoy's message was emotional but firm. Charlie would never turn grief into gossip, he said. He deserves respect, not to be turned into the stuff of conspiracy theories. His words hit hard. For many, they marked a turning point where the public began questioning whether Candace was still seeking truth or chasing influence. But Owens remained undeterred. She went further, claiming that Charlie Kirk had been targeted because of his political beliefs. In her view, his death was no accident. It was the result of powerful people silencing a man who spoke out too boldly. Then, in a jaw-dropping twist, she even named billionaire Bill Ammon, accusing him of threatening Charlie just weeks before his passing. The claim spread like wildfire, though Ammon quickly issued a sharp denial. Still, by then it didn't matter. The narrative had escaped control. Millions had already chosen sides. Those who believed Owens was unveiling a hidden truth, and those who saw her as fueling a dangerous illusion. What began as mourning had now turned into an ideological battlefield. A tragedy became a story about faith, loyalty, and the perilous power of social media. As the debates raged on, one fact remained. Charlie Kirk's once unifying legacy was now surrounded by division and distrust. His name, once synonymous with strength and leadership, had become a rallying cry for suspicion and speculation. And in the middle of it all stood Candace Owens, relentless, controversial, and unapologetically loud. In the end, this isn't just a story about Charlie Kirk's death or Candace Owens' theories. It's about how power, perception, and pain can twist even the closest bonds, how one tragedy can expose the cracks in faith, friendship, and truth itself. Whether you believe Candace is uncovering something monumental or exploiting someone's grief for attention, one thing is clear. This story has reshaped the entire conversation around loyalty, politics, and the cost of speaking out in a world that thrives on chaos. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Candace Owens is fighting for justice, or is she simply rewriting someone else's tragedy to fit her narrative? Was Charlie Kirk's passing a heartbreaking accident or part of something deeper and more sinister? Let's talk about it in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Because the next chapter of this story might just reveal that in the world of fame, politics and influence, even silence can speak louder than truth.